trying to find good light. I had the coolest experience with some owls and red-tailed hawk yesterday. One flew to my head. Okay, it was like organized thing. I didn't know. I was just there. And they chose me to have it fly to my head, like right by my head. And then it's like a spirit animal. And so I meet a lot of people with the red-tailed hawk as a spirit animal. And I know when I'm in my element, one swoops like over right in front of me when I'm driving, or when I was at a game, it was swooping. It was, and just when you're really, really in your spiritual element, or you feel the high energy, it'll swoop. So always take note with every spirit animal, what's showing you, telling you who you're dealing with, what spiritual message you're getting that day. It's showing you something, confirming something. Took a picture with an owl as well. That was amazing. The owls. One was cute and like blinking. Like it looked like it was falling asleep. I didn't know they blinked. Okay, because and they're looking up at the ceiling. It was so cool. They're just like cats, kind of like my cats. Reminding my cats, because I'm just gonna squeeze them because they're so fluffy. And but their eyes, so they're seeing, reminding you to see with your spiritual eyes. So I've been doing lots of remote viewing with my clients, and so one client that I talked to him after I was experiencing these owls about the remote view session. So we both tune in on the same cue. It's a blind cue, ISI. And I was telling him, I was laughing after I looked at the question. So I told him what the question was. And I was like, I was experiencing your session, because that's what the question was. I said, it was, what was the energy? What was the energy in my client's session? And so I drew him floating. It was his energy field, and this kundalini energy spiraling. There were objects floating around. He was floating out in space. I was seeing all these beautiful colors, and like everything I described. Because I re-looked at everything after I looked at the question. I was like, oh my gosh, like it was his session. Like I was experiencing it. It was so funny. That's why I do the same cue as my client to give them more information and to verify so that we have the same thing. It's really fun. It's so fun. And so the owls, yeah, they're about like seeing through, because his big eyes are so big, And I was confirming, actually I was downloading ways to become a better remote viewer before we started, different techniques. And it was almost like Ingo Swan was being channeled. It was interesting, because I even went to sleep to a video, and I wasn't like looking up remote viewing or something. It was just, somehow it was mentioned. And then instead of remote viewing the first day, I was just getting all this information about how to do it better. It was just cool. And that's the cool thing about remote viewing, and when I do it with my clients, so much more information comes through. And I'm probably gonna do my next video on the roof, because I don't know where to film where there's good light, because I always have blurry videos because there's not enough light. But I know people hate that. I like blurry videos. That's so weird. Like I like it blurry. I don't know. But anyway, with the screech owls though, they're telling you to speak up. They're saying, hey, like there's something important you need to say, even if it's going against the crowd, because you know how crowds can accept something wrong, the wrong thing, and make it look acceptable when it's not. So they go after one owl, will go after all the starlings, like thousands of them, because they destroy the nests of other birds, and so they will be the one to speak up, well, all the owls, not just screech owl, but if you hear a screech owl, it's saying, hey, speak up, speak the truth. And we often hear people speaking that aren't speaking the truth. And, then they get everyone else not speaking the truth because they're not connected to their soul or to their intuition. So we got all these loud people that don't know what they're talking about. And you hear directly from God, or you hear directly from your soul or your higher self, and you feel it vibrating within you, and you're like, hey, and it's going to be heard. People won't be able to ignore it when you feel it, hear it from spirit. I do this all the time. I did it today. I do it every day. Maybe that's one of my spirit animals. I don't really hear the screech off very often, but I'm just like, I made a post about people needing to speak up when all these criminals get away from stuff just because they say it. When this other person, the innocent person who's been gang raped and abused and beat up and almost murdered and all this stuff, and but just because someone accused them, they're the guilty one, really? When they have all this footage and stuff? But society, and even because people are bad, they're getting drugs or whatever stuff underhandedly, it makes it all, it makes it to where one person needs to speak up, and if they don't, I don't know, I feel like you're going to have to do this life over again, because it's a pretty big thing to not speak up against. That's a lot of guilt you don't want to have. And Spirit's going to make sure you have that guilt until you say something. Not guilt, but just like awareness. Hello. Do the right thing.